Would like to welcome you to the Hamilton County Board of Election meeting. Today is January the 2nd, 2024, and just wishing everybody a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And we're calling the meeting to order at approximately 8:35. We would also like to indicate that proper notice has been given as required under the Ohio Revised Code 121.22. We're going to begin our meeting with a pledge, and am asking anyone who has served our country or is serving our country to stand up and lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And again, thank you for serving our country. We're so fortunate to have quite a few employees who have served our country that work for us. So again, thank you so much for serving our country. First on the agenda is the board meeting minutes that were sent out on December the 12th, 2023. Everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes. Are there any updates or changes on those minutes? If so, we need to approve those minutes from December the 12th, 2023.
I've got nothing additional. I'll move approval of the board meeting minutes from December the 12th.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Next, certification. March 19th, 2024, primary election partisan candidate petitions. Mrs. Powell.
Yes, good morning. You have a spreadsheet listed in your packet that's entitled...
Poland, sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
thinking that's someone else.
That's all right. Entitled Filed Sufficient. I do want to note that there are two candidates who have filed for sheriff, Charmaine McGuffey and Jim Neal. We have received notification from the Court of Common Pleas that those two candidates have met the qualifications and are eligible to be a candidate for the office of sheriff. So with that being said, staff recommends certification of the candidates' petitions listed on the report entitled Hamilton County Board of Elections 2024 Primary Candidates List Filed Sufficient.
I'll move approval of those candidates listed as filed sufficient.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
Madam Chair, next you have a report in your packet entitled Hamilton County Board of Elections 2024 Primary Candidates List, filed candidate not eligible for office of sheriff. One candidate appears on this list, Christopher Mayer. We received correspondence from the Court of Common Pleas as well as a judge's entry indicating that this candidate has not met the qualifications to run for sheriff. This correspondence was received on December 20th, which was the filing deadline, as well as the deadline to meet those qualifications. We received follow-up communication from the court on December 27th, letting us know that the court had received the BCI background check for this candidate on December 27th, but had still not yet received the FBI check. There are also, within the court entry, two other items where the court found that the candidate did not meet those qualifications. I believe the candidate is present.
Could you please come to the podium, please, and state your name?
Sorry. Yeah, Christopher Mayer. I just wanted to address that real quick so you all are aware. First of all, I went through the process with you all, and all my signatures were filed properly. You agreed with that. I called the administrative judge, was told, we have your fingerprints on file. Everything's good. Everything was good. I was told to do nothing. I was literally specifically told not to come down there. So 2 days prior to the deadline on December 20th, I was called by an officer named Dick Ruza. He works down at the jailhouse. Said, hey, little rumor that you didn't do your fingerprints. And I said, I was told that my fingerprints were on file. He said, well, you might want to come down and do those again. Just get those done again. I said, I just want to be clear that I possess a higher than top secret clearance with the federal government, so I'm always very careful with what I do. I report my presence to any governing body when I come into the county. So I went down, I did the fingerprints, and just knowing how all of this operates, I know these things can be back within 20 minutes. I lived in that world for quite a long time. So I did it, no big deal. I went up, they told me to go up to the administrative judge. The administrative judge's office again was not happy to see me. A Mr. Pat Dressing came out to address me. And I quote, I was not aware that you were running. So I think, no matter how this ends in the future, one thing that can be done is, it seems that there needs to be a letter sent from the Hamilton County Board of Elections to the judge. And apparently that was supposed to happen. That did not happen. They went into a rush. They've created a document that didn't even have my name on it. It had another candidate's name on it from years ago. And told me to take it over to get to the fingerprints. I had already done that. Then the Hamilton County Administrative Judge's Office asked me to email them 6 documents. Okay? I did what he said. I emailed the requested documents to prove my law enforcement experience, which I can share with you all if you would like. I have a bachelor's degree. There's no qualifications that I don't meet, minus of course, I don't have the, an updated peace officer's certification, which I intended to take if I were to win the primary. Just like Jim Neal did not have a peace officer certification when he won the last time. He had to, go and update it. So, with all that said, I sent the documents, and on December 21st, after it had already been sent to you, an administrative judge in this county created a M case. Now, most people don't know what that is, but an M case is a miscellaneous court case, which is, at the very best, very sketchy. We don't do that. Judge Lubers would have never done that to me. Again, I'm sure you know who my family is. My grandpa served this community, Walt Mayer, for 45 years on television. My dad was a deputy for almost 30 years. I have served my country abroad in combat. I have served in a law enforcement capacity, protecting MSC and high-value targets all over the world. So when a judge does that without even giving me due process, I was not present. The court order you all are in receipt of is fraudulent. You can read it. It's not accurate. And I, again, was never asked to appear in front of the judge. So, with that said, whatever you all decide, this is not on you. I totally understand. Didn't even know Alex was going to be here, but I have no problem with what you decide. But please be clear on what you decide, because if it is just a national, the statute does not say you need an FBI background check. The statute states you just have to clear a background check. Again, I possess a very high clearance, with the federal government. Anything that happens with me is scrutinized. So I have no record. I have the experience. But if it's just a background check, no problem. If you all have to stick with that, no problem. I will go ahead and file as an independent, which the deadline is in March. So I came here today just not to be slandered, by the judge, which is, in my personal opinion, outrageous not to give someone a right to, be in front of them to create a court case that you're not even involved in, which is why my wife got involved, obviously, because she was very upset. So I think with that said, you should really just take some time to think about it. But experience should definitely not be the reason that I would be disqualified, given the current sheriff's criminal history and, just negligence and, my opponent for the Republican Party would be, I think it would be a great disservice not to have someone, who can actually speak and commit the duties of sheriff in a manner that is fitting of this county, that has so much great history. So I think that's where I'm at with the process. I will say, obviously, I was very upset with the court order, and I hope that no matter what, in the future, that can be remedied, because we can't have citizens just be not given due process. That is, in my opinion, that's just beyond the pale. So, but I appreciate you all letting me speak, and just let me know again on the background check. If it's just the background check that you're waiting, I have no problem running as independent. I don't care what the party says, but just let me know, because I know the FBI check will be back within 2 weeks. So they have to take 30 days to hold mine, and they'll send it via mail to you all. So you just let me know. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, or?
I have none.
I have one, since you
Yeah.
brought up. So in the judge's transmittal to us,
Yes.
in number 7, it says, applicant has not submitted a current valid peace officer certification and training or shown full-time employment. You're saying, and again, I haven't looked, I'm asking it
Oh, yeah.
open-endedly. You're saying that can be concluded after the fact, or you haven't, that part's not concluded?
The current peace officer certification, that is not complete. That can be done, I was told prior that could be done after the fact, but then I went ahead and said, well, why don't I just start it in the spring class?
Got it. And then B9, again, just looking at the
Yeah,
judge's
of
letter,
course.
it says, has not shown sufficient proof of supervisor experience. And you can do, under the statute, you have to either have supervisor experience or criminal justice degree. And it's your statement that you have the second part of that, the criminal justice degree.
Yeah, I have a bachelor's.
Very good.
And I have supervisory law enforcement, I was a non-commissioned officer.
Okay.
Serving in I don't know if you know what Marine Security Guard is. If anyone wants to know what that is, I'd be happy to share it with you. But it's a very high level of law enforcement. There's only 450 people make it through it a year, so it's not something that's very easily attained. So that's where I'm at. But if you have any more questions, the degree itself, it's all.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council have anything on this one?
The qualifications have to be demonstrated before the deadline, and the deadline was December 20th.
It was December the 20th. And then don't we also have on our website the direction and some information about what one needs to do as a candidate? You have to be responsible and accountable yourself to fulfill those obligations. Am I
That's right.
correct?
Just the one thing I'll say about that is, I definitely did everything before the 20th. It was done before the 20th. I understand, that there's politics involved, but I did it before the 20th. I followed the website to a T. Again, in my opinion, there's some fishy stuff done at the administrative judge. I'm handling that outside of this, but that's all I'll say.
Thank
You
you.
know,
I'm looking at just the facts. We're not here to be in a position to
Oh, no, I'm just letting you know.
so your other issues that you're having with
Oh,
the
no, I just wanted to make sure
administrative
you
judge.
knew. I did it before the 20th, 100%.
Thank you.
And we're required to have the Court of Common Pleas approved by entry, the candidacy, are we not? I mean, that's part of one of the prerequisites to our certifying to the ballot, correct?
That's correct. They're required to certify that the steps demonstrating the qualification have been taken, and that didn't happen here.
My understanding is it's very clear what those steps are, and if even one of those is not completed,
It's in the statute, yes.
thank you.
Well, I know from serving on this board a long time, at least one prior candidate for sheriff had similar issues, and I know for a fact we denied that candidate, as I recall, as well, or did we not? Anyway, I know this has been an issue before, but, at this point, without something more full from the court, I don't think we have any choice here but to reject the petition. So I'll move that we do so, and consistent with the law and with the court's entry.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Thank you.
And
Thank
just
you,
one
Mr.
last thing, so I can go ahead and just move over to independent, so you have everything done. Now,
You have the right to do what, within the law.
that's all I needed, that's all I came. Thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
good luck, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, where are we?
I think next
Next,
is
number
the-
5.
Yes, Madam Chair, there is another candidate petition. There's a report in your packet, Hamilton County Board of Elections 2024 primary candidates list, filed insufficient. There's one candidate on this list, Regina Collins, who filed for the 28th House District and the Democratic primary. Her petitions contained 45 valid signatures, and the requirement is 50. So staff recommends rejection of this candidate's petition.
I'll move that we reject those candidate petitions as insufficient.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Gold.
Yes, Madam Chair, we also have the matter of the Democratic Party Central Committee candidates, and Deputy Director Linzer will be presenting this to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it is time for the Democratic Party to re-elect its Central Committee members. There are 2 spreadsheets in board packets. The first is the sufficient spreadsheet. It is titled March 19th, 2023 Primary Election, Hamilton County Democratic Party Central Committee Candidates Sufficient. These are the candidates who submitted their forms to M by the deadline, and there were no deficiencies with their forms, so staff recommends approval to the ballot.
I'll move approval of those candidates marked as sufficient by board staff.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
There is one more spreadsheet in your packet. This one is titled March 19th, 2023 Primary Election Hamilton County Democratic Party Central Committee Candidates Board Review. There are 15 candidates on this list. All of them made a similar mistake in filing their Form 2M. They left the primary date. They either left it blank or they put an incorrect date. They either put the date of a general election or the date they signed the form, or in some cases, another date. This is a substantial compliance decision for the board to make. In the past, when the board has been presented with candidates who made similar mistakes, the board has approved them for the ballot. And I believe Mr. Terry Tranter is here to speak at least as to one of these candidates.
Okay. Mr. Trainer? Can you help him with the microphone, please? Thank you.
Members of the board, Madam Chairman, Monica Lear filed for Democratic Precinct Executive in Precinct C of Amberley Village, Ohio. And she put on there as the date of the election, November the 7th, 2023, when, of course, we know the date of the election is March 19th, 2024. So the question is, does this meet the test of substantial compliance? And I filed a memorandum about this in this regard. And the question is, what would a reasonable person surmise by looking at the petition? Would a reasonable person think that she was running for an election on November 7th, 2023, which is an actual election date? That was the date of the last election, 2023. Or would they say, a reasonable person say, no, it's not November 7th, 2023, it's March 19th, 2024. I don't think any reasonable person would find that those two dates are similar and that there is substantial compliance. We have all watched a lot of football games this weekend. I'm sure some of us, most of us have. And if a football team has got to get 10 yards for a first down, and they run it 4 times, and they only get the 5 yard in that, is there substantial compliance? No, they did not reach the goal. So can a referee say, well, that's substantially complied with, we're going to give them a first down? I don't think so. Now, the board can make a decision that this November 7th date is substantially complies with March 19th. I don't know how a reasonable person would say that, but the board could say that. And the question is that an arbitrary, capricious, or unreasonable decision? And as I say, the reasonable man's standard would be that it would be. On the other hand, despite the history of wanting to have candidates stand for election, if the board were to make the finding that it was not substantially complied with, it would be like in a football game where a referee says the person was inbounds, and they do a review, like a court of appeals would, and the review would say, well, we can't find sufficient evidence to overturn the board's decision. So if the board were to go ahead, separate this from the other petitions, and say that it was not substantially complied with, that would be upheld, in my opinion, by a court of appeals. I'm not sure the other way would be upheld by a court. But I filed a memorandum, and also I filed a supplemental statement. I don't know if it's in the file or not. But in there, some of us have legislative experience, and I was in the legislature for 17 years. And I found it, the legislature is the only body I know that can say black is white, pass a law saying that, and it's the law. But I don't know that the board has the power to say that black is white, that November the 7th is the same as March the 19th. And we can say that, the person, Monica Lira, had good intentions. Her good intentions were to be a candidate for the primary election on March the 19th. And I was taught by my religion that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but that doesn't get you to heaven, okay? And despite what her intentions might be, she filed for the wrong election. And I would just ask the board to reject her petition because there was her declaration of candidacy, because it was not substantially complied with. My interest is that I live in Amberley Village, and I'm also a candidate, not for that precinct, but for a different precinct, Precinct A. And I just feel that, like the referee in a Bengal game, football game, she only got 5 yards. She didn't get the 10 yards, and she could not be given a first down. And that's about all I can say, and if I have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Traynor. Are there any other questions? On the form, it says primary election. Is that not correct? That they complete?
Yeah, candidates for Party Central Committee file a Secretary of State Form 2M. The title of that form is Declaration of Candidacy, No Petition, Party Primary Election. So it does state several places on the form that this is for a primary election.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Again, Mr. Traynor, thank you for including the relevant portion of the elections official manual as Exhibit B. It says, as you properly bracketed, the board shall consult with its legal counsel, the county prosecutor, when reviewing petitions. So I thought maybe we should follow the election official manual here and see what our county prosecutor has to say.
Well, first of all, I think the chairman has rightly pointed out that the election that this is occurring for is the primary election, and that is on the form. Those elections are set by law. They're not set by caprice or anything else. The Supreme Court of Ohio has held on several occasions that the omission of a date is a substantial compliance issue, and also the misstatement of a date is a substantial compliance issue. In fact, they've ordered candidates on the ballot where that has occurred. And I think this is the same situation. You have a number of candidates who admitted the date, and you have a number of candidates who misstated the date. And I think it's the Supreme Court has told us that those are not important unless they would lead someone to be misled. And in this case, there are no signatures on the petition, and the date of the election for the office is set by law.
If I could just say, I know that in a declaration of candidacy for the Democratic primary, there are no signatures required. I think in Republican primary, they do require signatures. So the fact that there's no signatures required, I think you have to say, had signatures been required, what would a reasonable person conclude if they were to sign this petition? And a reasonable person who would look at this and know that there's an election on November the 7th could only conclude that this person is running for office on November the 7th. And particularly since the petition was filed in October prior to the November 7th election. So it's not really a mistake. In fact, it's not a mistake that she made. I could see that if somebody said they were filing for the primary election March the 19th, 2023, that's a reasonable mistake if they're filing it in 2023. We all write checks or something. I've written checks already dated January the 1st, 2023, because it's so ingrained in my head that you carry it over. So if somebody said that, that's a reasonable mistake. But when somebody says they're filing for the election in November 7th, 2023, what would a reasonable person conclude? They would conclude that they're running for election November 7th. That was an election date, and not on March the 19th. So I think that the fact that it was a misstatement, I don't believe it's a misstatement. It was an intended date that she filed for, and I don't know if she thought she was running in November 7th, but she put down that election date intentionally. And it wasn't a misstatement or a mistake. That's what she put in. So I think it differs from the Supreme Court case, which I know governs this, and I think that this board could find that it is not sufficient, and it's a substantial non-compliance with the law. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Unless there's any questions.
Any other questions?
Brother?
Any other questions? Need a motion?
All right, so it looks like the ones for board review do include this one as well, and that's whatever number of
15.
15, thank you. So at this point, just to put it on the table, I'll move that we approve the list of candidates for a Democratic Party Central Committee, consistent with legal advice here.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? That motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Train.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Trenner.
I'll be leaving.
Okay. Have a great day,
Great day.
everyone. Anything else, Mr. Lindsay?
That's all for the Central Committee.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is certification for March 19th, 2024 primary election write-in candidates.
Madam Chair, as of this morning, we have not yet received any declaration of intent to be write-in candidates for contests that appear in the March primary. The deadline is January 8th, so if we do receive any write-in candidates by the deadline, those will be presented to the board at your next meeting on January 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, certification March 19th, 2024 primary election questions and issues.
Yes, in your packet, you have 8 questions and issues that have been filed for the March primary, and staff recommends certification.
I'll move that we certify the questions and issues as recommended by board staff.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Next is discussion and approval of March 19th, 2024 election administrative plan.
Yes, that plan was circulated to the board via email last week. In order to save some trees, we did not print copies of the EAP. But unless any board members have any questions or changes to the plan, we recommend approval.
I'll move approval of the election administration plan as recommended by staff.
Second.
I'd like to say it was very succinct. It was 48 pages, I do know that. And thank you for considering, not to print all of those pages. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Next, for discussion is November the 7th, 2023 general election anomaly report.
Madam Chair, the report is in the board packet. If the board recalls, there were 6 voters remaining that the deputy director and I were unable to reach as of your last meeting. A second notice was sent to each one of those voters on December 14th, requesting the voters contact either the deputy director or myself by December 29th. We've heard from 2 of those voters. That's voter number 4, who indicated to the deputy director that he had received an 11S form to cure his absentee ballot by mail when he, rather than submitting the cure form, he went to his polling place on election day and cast a provisional ballot. He was afraid that his 11S form would not arrive to the board in time. The next voter, voter number 15, the deputy director spoke with by phone. The voter's sister, who lives at the same address and has the same last name, similar first name, was accidentally checked in the voter's profile by the poll workers. So this voter did not, in fact, cast two ballots. Also want to note for the board that regarding the Mount Airy Gardens Nursing Home, anomaly that occurred, the deputy director and I have an appointment tomorrow morning to meet with the new nursing home administrator and the staff that was involved in casting ballots at the nursing home. So we'll follow up with the board at that meeting. The remaining 4 voters that are highlighted in yellow, or I'm sorry, in orange, we just simply have not been able to reach.
So, first, I just want to thank our staff for always being so diligent on the anomaly report. To me, it's like a funnel, right? It always narrows it down quite a bit for us, and it's helpful. And again, I've been doing this a long time. In almost all the situations, almost all of them, the anomaly is explained with reasons that aren't, criminal or negative. It's usually there's a good explanation. But I commend our staff, and I think our board has worked well on just making sure we root out any potential issues. But that leaves us with 4 final people who we just don't have any information about. We can assume that they perhaps fit into the great majority of the anomalies and that there isn't an issue, but absent something else, I just think from our purposes, it makes sense to just ask the prosecutor's office to look at them. We don't make criminal charging decisions, nor should we. I think what we ought to do is just send over those four for potential future investigation. So again, this sometimes gets, it gets a little sensitive. I don't mean for it to. I don't want it to. I just don't think we just walk away, though. The other voters were diligent enough to respond. Our staff was able to come up with answers. But when we run out of answers, I think at some point we just have to do our job, and that is send it over for additional and potential investigation, not assuming any will ultimately lead to any criminal behavior being discovered. So I'll move that those four voters be sent over for additional review by the prosecutor's office.
I question just a moment. So we have voter number 2, number 10, number 13, and number 14. Is that what because the other one, number 16, they're still in the process of following up on those issues.
That's nursing home.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
that's the nursing home situation, so my intention is to send the four over, and on the document, they're numbers 2, 10, 13, and 14, and the staff was helpful in color coding them with a
Yes.
nice Bengals orange.
I have a question. That second letter, did the letters never come back at all?
No,
Return to sender?
they were not returned as undeliverable. And in that second letter, we did indicate that if we did not hear from them by December 29th, the matter may be referred to the prosecutor's office.
Was the second letter a certified letter?
It was not.
Do we ever send certified letters?
Recently, we found that we don't have any better luck with certified mail than regular mail.
Okay.
So I have a question on top of that question then. So therefore, according to our voter file, that address that the letter was sent to reflects what we have on file. Am I correct?
That's correct. We have no indication that the voters live at any other address.
And you shouldn't, given that they voted there.
True. Okay.
Just to be clear, I don't think my motion ever got seconded, did it?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining?
Nay.
That motion carries.
you.
And again, it was 2, 10, 13, and 14. Okay. Thank you. Next, discussion on the social media policy revision.
Yes, there is a copy of our social media policy in your packet. We have highlighted the portion that's being changed is in red. The board already had approved the platforms of Facebook, Instagram, X, and Nextdoor. We would like to add on the platform of LinkedIn to aid us in recruiting poll workers and temporary staff.
It's either to add seasonal election workers as well as, that's a good cleanup. This is an easy one for me. I think our staff does an excellent job on social media. I think the myth-busting component of what we do is particularly useful, and I know we've even been awarded for some of that work that's done by our team. So I easily support the revisions of the social media policy. I'll make a motion to adopt the changes as recommended.
I second it.
Any more discussion?
Is there any fee for LinkedIn?
No,
We're not going to get a paid account. We're just going to get the regular fee?
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
That's a good question, because I didn't think there was, but still, okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Next on our agenda is personnel matters.
Yes, Deputy Director Linzer will be presenting the first personnel matter to the board.
The first personnel matter on our agenda is the appointment of a full-time staff member. We're pleased to welcome Mark Mextreth to the the Voter Services Department. He will be a registration official on the Democratic side.
As is our custom here, I'll make the motion to appoint Mark Mextroth to the position of registration official.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries.
Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations, Mark. Okay. Mr. Linzer, do you have the next one, or is this Ms. Poland?
Back to the director.
Back to Ms. Poland. Okay, Personnel Policy Manual Update regarding optional vacation credit payout. Ms. Poland.
Yes, this is a policy that the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners adopted in July of 2023, so staff is recommending this board adopt a similar policy. It would basically allow full-time employees that have accrued at least 5 weeks of vacation time to have the ability of an optional vacation time credit payout of up to 35 hours. They would have to have 5 weeks remaining in their bank after the payout in order to be eligible for this one time a year option. So staff and I, Deputy Director and I recommend approval.
That's sufficient for me. I will move to adopt the update to the Personnel Policy Manual consistent with the Director and Deputy Director's recommendation, and also what I believe to be a good policy passed by our Commissioners.
Second.
And I really concur with this as well, having worked in positions where we had situations like this come up. When I look at all the time and the hard work that our employees put in, I think that's the best thing and the least we can do. So,
Well, not only that is the time that they have, a lot of times they can't even take the time off
Right.
because they have to be here.
we saw that on multiple occasions in
Right.
the past 2 years. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries. Next, Ms. Boland?
Yes, the Board of County Commissioners have also approved our 2024 budget. Within that budget, we received a 3% cost of living adjustment. So the staff is recommending a 3% COLA across the board for all full-time Board of Elections employees, and that would be effective the first pay period, which we're currently in, for 2024.
I'll move approval of the salary adjustments as recommended by staff.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries. Thank you. Any other business?
Just a reminder that the next board meeting is a special board meeting set for Tuesday, January 23rd at 8:30 a.m. At that time, we'll be presenting our poll worker assessments from the November election and any other, anything else that may come up in regards to the primary election.
The best is yet to come, it sounds like.
And that's 8:30, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any other business? Anyone else? Like to, Kenny? I thought that was you sitting there, I could just see you.
The podium was
Kenny,
moved over a little.
Giving us an update from the
Yeah.
state, at the state level.
Well, Kenny Henning with the Ohio Secretary of State's office. Just really wanted to thank the board for putting on your holiday party on December 22nd. It was a nice time to recognize the employees' hard work from last year. I know that our small and medium neighboring counties of Hamilton County and Southwest Ohio are really excited for OAEO President Poland's conference next week that we will be at. And we're looking forward to attending all those breakout sessions and preparing for the big election of this year. So 2024 is here. I know that your staff will continue to guide and help not only your employees, but neighboring counties. And I just wanted to continue to share that with there being so many new directors, deputies, staff members in neighboring counties, they really appreciate the guidance that Alex and Sherry give. So they're appreciative. I'm appreciative of the collaboration, and Happy New Year. We're excited for
Happy New Year.
all
Happy
this
New
year
Year.
brings. Yep.
Thank you, Kenny.
You know, you get around a lot in the state level. And I also had the opportunity with Kenny to be in the court of the veterans that were graduating from the program through the court system. And you said a few good words, and I think that was very important.
Thank you.
And shows, you know, the diversity of what all we have to do. Our jobs are not just here in this building, but out in the community as well.
Thank you.
All right, need a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that we adjourn.
We're done? Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
officially.
Well done.